Hey guys, this is Denise. Welcome to this 30-minute practice. We're focusing this time on strengthening at the knee, but of course it's a full body practice. The way we're going to stabilize the knee, stability is very important to the knee. We're going to catch it up in the fascial lines. So you don't need to understand what that is. You're going to feel it throughout this practice. And I hope that really stays with you because this is the ideal way to create stability at the knee, whether you've got a healthy knee or you've had previous injuries or anything like that. So we're going to get started right away. You need a strap, a block, and a pair of socks or a towel or something that could slide on the floor. Now, if you don't have such a thing, don't worry about it. I will give you a modification for that one. If you need a moment to just set your intention for practice, take a few breaths, maybe a few minutes of meditation, please pause the video and take time for that. And otherwise, we're gonna get started right away. So in your strap, your belt, your scarf, whatever you're using for this, I want you to make a loop. And then you're gonna step through it and put it like so. Okay, so what we're going to be doing is standing in a Tadasana pose, but not with our feet together. So you're going to wiggle your feet apart, and you want to just find a position where you can be pretty comfortable, but you want to push down into your feet, energize your legs like you're dialing them away from each other, and press your leg bones into the strap. Okay, so if you have to make a few adjustments to get that feeling comfortable and secure, please go ahead. So what we're trying to do here is use organization and activation, which was always our setup position. Great toes straight ahead, heels maybe a little bit wider, heels are well grounded. Then we energize like we're dialing the knees away from each other, dialing the feet away from each other. This is actually coming from the hip. It's called external rotation activation. And this is going to press our legs out into the strap. So you want to feel that pressure. When you feel the legs pressing into the strap, it's going to highlight the lateral fascial lines of your body and your spiral line, which is on the lateral side of your leg too. This is where your knee support is. So let's just stand in Tadasana. You can close your eyes down if you want. Make sure your knees stay unlocked. If you have a habit of hyperextending at the knee, make sure you try to break that habit by keeping your legs a little bit more energized, okay? So we've got our legs energized. So we'll challenge our position a little bit. Inhale, reach the arms up. You can take your hands together if your shoulders are comfortable with that, or you can keep them apart. Inhale. And exhale over to the right side. So usually for many people, this is where their knees already start to hug in. So you're gonna keep dialing them out into the pressure you're feeling from the strap. Okay, let's gather up through the center and we'll go to the other side. Okay, so keep dialing the energy out, keep pressing your legs into the strap. Maybe you're already feeling like, oh, those muscles are gonna get tired pretty soon, yeah? All right, let's come up and let's take it to the other side. Now we'll oscillate up and side. So I want you to think about your knees now as we go from side to side are being supported right from the foot through the sides of the legs, through to the hip, through to the side of the body, which you're going to feel as you go side to side, all the way up to the sides of the neck where it connects to the head. Okay, those are your lateral fascial lines. So that's what we want to tap into to support the knee. This is very, very important to understand. Let's come up to center and we'll just pause for a moment, lace your fingers. Let's just rest the hands on the head and we'll go to the right side where we'll stay for a little bit longer. Keep pressing into your feet, energize into your feet like you're dialing the knees away from each other. So I am actually trying to help you fatigue some of these muscles because then you'll know where they are. Let's come up to center. And let's take it to the other side. You're going to find this a very, very challenging practice, but our intention here is to get a lot stronger with these activation patterns and the muscles that are tensioning our fascia. Let's come up to the center. Let's reach up nice and high. We'll take a forward fold. Now, in this forward fold, I want you to continue dialing the feet away from each other and pressing the legs into the strap. You're going to feel this down the sides of your legs, into your hips, maybe right behind your hip through here. You're feeling a little bit of burning happening. If you are, good for you. Well done. All right, keep dialing the feet away from each other. Press down into your feet. Maybe send your sitting bones up a little bit more, but keep the knee a little bit bent, really challenging your fascial lines now. And then we're going to bend the knee, lift the heart, and come into chair pose. Now, in chair pose, this is another ideal posture where you dial the feet and knees away from each other, pressing and activating those lateral lines. We're going to make it even juicier by making this a pranayama technique called chair breathing. So what we'll do is stand up a little bit more, bring the thumbs in, and then exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. So in and out through the nose, and exhale. Up and down, so the whole time, this is training, we're dialing the knees into the strap, pressing on the strap. Yes, I know, it's probably starting to get tired. So you can go as low or as minimal as you want. If you've had previous knee injuries, you really got to pay attention to what you feel at the knee, but we're trying to be quite vigorous here and giving those lateral lines lots of challenge. These are your stabilizing lines. We want to fire them up. We want to get more familiar with them. And we want to start using them. And we'll go for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Hold. Press the knees into the strap. Press. This is so good for you. Hang in there. One more breath here. And then we're going to come up nice and slow. Oh boy, it feels good to straighten the knees. Don't let them lock though. Keep pressing down into your feet. Inhale and exhale all the way down. Let your knees bend. And now we're going to actually hop our feet back. You want to hop back so that you're in table pose, okay? So in a table pose position with knees under the hips, or they're a little narrower than that, but that's okay. Hands under the shoulders. Organize your shoulders like you're dialing the hands away from each other so we get the elbow pointed back and we get a nice stable shoulder, okay? Shoulders are stable, toes are tucked. Energize down into your feet and lift. Now, press your knees into the strap. Keep your breath super steady and strong. Using Ujjayi breathing is ideal. And try to pull the belly into the core here. Now we're going to come forward and back. And you can go as far as your body allows. Maybe your knees are going to just about straighten. Maybe they won't. That's fine. And if you need to bring your knees down at any time, please go ahead. This is your practice. Keep the whole time, though, you're pressing the knees into the strap. Push and come back. Push and come back. Notice, let's stay right here. If you press your knees into the strap, notice how much stability that gives your entire body, huh? Your knees are part of a whole system, so we have to think about them that way. Let's take one more time, and then we're just going to hover. Press the knees into the strap, hover, breathe. If it's getting challenging, you're right at that right sweet spot. Nice deep breath here. Beautiful. And then we'll let the knees come down, and you can take a little rest. We're not quite ready to give up the strap yet, okay? We're going to tuck our toes, come into downward facing dog. Let's take a couple of breaths here. And then we're going to do a fun little drill practice. Come up onto your toes, make a little bend in your knees, push the legs into the strap, and we're going to go 1, 2, 3 pulses and a hop. Okay, I'll show you from the side. We're going to go 1, 2, 3 pulses and a hop. All right, with the legs pressing into the strap. 3 pulses and a hop. Try to make that hop kind of in slow motion. 1, 2, 3, and hop. Then you're going to walk your hands back. Inhale up to half lift, pressing the legs into the strap. Exhale, fold. Inhale. Exhale, really press. Inhale. And exhale. Nice. Walk your hands forward. Back to your downward facing dog position. And we'll do it again. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, and hop. 1, 2, 3, and hop. 1, 2, 3, and hop. Walk your hands back. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, half lift. I'm still pressing into the strap. So this is how we learn to tap into those lateral lines. And you'll feel them even when the strap comes off, believe me. Last time, half lift. Woo, all right, let's walk the hands out. And this time, you're gonna use your 1, 2, 3 hop to hop forward, okay? 1, 2, 3, and hop. And at the front of your mat, you can let the strap slide down and come all the way up. Woo, it feels good to stand up now. Let's give ourselves just a moment. Bring the knees up, and relax. And then we'll take up our block. So get a block, or you can get a rolled up towel or a meditation cushion, anything like that. We're putting the block between our lower legs. So a very important thing to understand about knee function is that it relies quite heavily on foot function. So we're gonna work on our foot function now. Great toes straight ahead, heels a little wider. Let's bend the knees. Does it still feel like there's some kind of hot vibration going down the sides of your legs? I hope so. So keep sensing into that. And then you're gonna shift your body weight forward into your forefoot. Now just take your heel off the ground just a touch. And now I want you to really activate. So you're gonna squeeze your heels towards each other while your toes stay grounded and gripping, okay? Grip with your toes, squeeze with your heels. See if that makes your arch feel more active. All right, keep the knees just ever so slightly bent, and then we're gonna work with lifting and lowering a few times, okay? Squeeze and lift and lower. A couple more times, squeeze and lift and lower. Grip with your toes, lift the heels, and now lift the heels and start to bring your seat back. Let's bring hands to Namaskar Mudra. Grip with your toes, press down into the balls of your feet, the roots of your toes, and lift your heels. Keep squeezing the heels towards each other. Keep feeling the lateral sides of your legs and hips. Keep pressing. One more deep breath here. Very nice. Now, can we stand up again? Ooh, maybe. Keep going. Lift it up. Press into your toes. And let's take it down. Let's wiggle out the toes. Beautiful. Now, you can just take the block to the side. We'll take a nice deep breath in. Exhale forward and all the way down. Inhale, take a half lift. And then exhale, just bring fingers to the mat and step your left foot back. We're gonna do another set of priming things. So if you're teaching yoga, all of these things we've been doing so far, you can inject those in little parts of your classes. Really good for teaching your students how to support the knee. Let's pull the feet towards each other. Now, this is a very specific thing I'm doing. Grounding, I'm making sure my great toe is grounded, my arch is lifted, and I'm pulling the toes toward my heel, and then the whole foot toward my body. Toes toward my knee in the back foot, and then whole leg into my body. So I want to pull both legs into the pelvis, gather that energy through pelvic floor, bring it up through the center of my body. If you feel like you want to, you can bring the hands up, you can bring them together if you want, but the main thing here is we want to pull those legs into the pelvis. This is helping us activate our deep front line. As you do that, you can feel, this feels really firm because it's active. Okay, let's pull that activity in. Then if you have your hands up, I think now you'll want them at your waist or your hips. Press down into your back toes, pull everything into the center, and then come up. Just coming up a little tiny bit in that back heel. Now, if that is really uncomfortable for your knee, you have a choice. You can either go ahead and step to the front, or you can keep it down. You could also use a block or something to give you that little extra support. Are you ready? Let's press into the foot and take a step to the front. We're stepping back with the same foot again. Keep this leg loaded. The way I keep this knee steady is I press it out. Don't let it fall in. Press it out, And then I'm going to step back and drop my knee and lift it up and step it in. Step it back, touch it down, bring it up, and step it in. Again, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. One more. Step it back, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Beautiful. Let's just pause for a moment. You can probably feel how active this right leg has been. Let's send the left leg back now. Take it all the way back. You can put the knee down, and we'll start to prime on the other side. So when you can feel sensation, like you just did in your right leg, that means you've made your sensory receptors more sensitive. Cool, huh? Let's press down into the toes, pull them back toward the heel, pull the whole leg into the pelvis, and then tuck your right toes under, pull the right toes towards your right knee, and then both legs are pulling into the pelvis. Feel that energy merging at the pelvic floor. Send it up through the center of the body. Reach with the fingers. Bring hands together if you want. Whatever expression, please make it your own. Let's take a couple of deep breaths. So our whole purpose here is, can I continue to activate this way? This is what I call organizing and activating the fascial lines. And that is how we create stability throughout the body, not just at the knee. Very nice. Now let's prepare. Pull it all in. You might want your hands down for this part. Take the knee up, grip into this foot, and step it forward. Okay, and then we step it back. We touch down, lift up, and step forward. Inhale, touch down, exhale, inhale, exhale. Press this knee out. Step back, just like we had the strap on, remember? That sensation. And up and forward. Once again, back, touch down, lift up, and forward. Last one. Step back, touch down, lift up, step forward. Beautiful. Okay, so now, again, we're going to have that experience of, wow, this leg feels larger, it feels more sensation. We've really woken it up. So let's just enjoy that for one more breath here. If you want, you can raise your hands up, give yourself another challenge, drop a little lower. One more breath here, and then we'll come into a fold. Inhale, take a nice deep reach forward with your chest and your heart. Hands come down, and let's step the feet back. We'll come down onto the knees, and we'll once again catch our strap. Now, I'm going to take this strap and just put it here in the front so I can step through it. Bringing the strap around the right lower thigh. I'm going to put the strap just under my hand over here. So I find sometimes I kind of like to make a loop so that it's very secure. Then I'm going to wiggle this foot out to the side, ground through my great toe and my heel, and then I'm pressing this leg. Now, you're going to notice, if you go off on a few times, you'll notice when you press the knee out, it helps your hip tuck in. So we go from this to this, okay? Now, push down into this foot, push into your back toes, and lift. Keep pressing into the strap, push the knee to the outside, and let's just take a little twist. Keep pressing into the strap. Remember, this is so that you will never forget this experience, these lines, because hopefully it's becoming pretty strong, super obvious. Let's take one more breath in this position. Really dig deep. All right, let's exhale and bring it down. I'm just going to slide that off of my foot, leave my strap at the front of the mat, and I'll prepare for the other side. Stepping forward with my left foot. I'll just put that around, bring it up, and then plant it on my mat over here. I'm just making a little loop so I know it's going to stay put. And then I can always just wiggle this foot out a little bit if I need, so that I can really push my knee into the strap. Okay, and once again, make sure your great toe stays grounded. None of this. Keep it grounded. Heels grounded, press the knee out, and then you can come up. Keep pressing the knee into the strap, pressing into those toes, keeping the back knee stable as well. Then you can open it up. Now I want to recommend, notice in your body what happens if you push down into your feet even more. Do you see how that creates even more muscle activity around your knees? So that's what's going to keep your knees safe and stable. We need to use our muscles to tension our fascia. Makes our fascial receptors more sensitive, and it makes the knee more stable. Very nice. Let's take this down. You can bring your back knee down. Just slide that loop off. And I'm going to step back and into downward facing dog. So you can get into downward facing dog. Just arrive there and do some pedaling. Again, you might notice that you can still feel a little bit of residual vibration down the lateral legs. Good stuff. Okay, so now we're going to come all the way to standing. So you can use your little hop technique now to come to the front of the mat if you like. And then press down into your feet and we'll come all the way up to standing. Very nice. We're going to take our block and just put it at the front of the mat, like so. Just stand it up. It's going to become a target for us now. So now we've been priming. We've been priming both the deep front line and our lateral lines. So now we're going to learn a very important activation called foot to core connection. We'll start with our right foot as well, and we'll stagger our stance. So our right foot is in front. So you're going to root down into your toes, energize your toes back towards your heel. You'll feel that activates the arch of your foot, and then you want to energize like you're dialing that outward, okay? So this cannot happen, it's dialing out. Okay, so grip with the foot, dial it out, and inhale. As you exhale, stay connected to your pelvic floor. Feel the inner seam of your leg is active and shift your weight onto your right foot. Okay? If you're not quite steady yet, and if you never get to the really steady feeling, just keep working on it. It's going to take time, perhaps. You can always keep your toe down, but otherwise you're going to test, can I lift my back foot and can keep my knees stable? So keep dialing it out like we've been practicing. Keep it active. And then if you want, you can challenge yourself. So you can reach down and touch the block and bring it up. So not only do we need to be able to stabilize the knee when we're not moving, we also need to be able to do it when we are moving, right? So that's what we're practicing now. So this is all a practice. Give yourself a break if you haven't done something like this before. Any new thing, the nervous system needs to learn, and it takes practice to do that. So using your breath, keep it steady and slow, and bring it up, okay? So let's try that on the other side. First, we're going to establish our foot to core connection. Root down into your toes, energize the toes back toward the heel, lift up the arch of the foot, and then energize like you're dialing the foot outward, okay? Inhale, pull the energy to the pelvic floor and your connection to your spine, actually, because this leg connects to your spine. It's important to understand. Okay, so if you're able to balance, you can stay there or you can start challenging it. And I noticed in my body, just because I know these activation patterns doesn't mean that my knee is perfectly stable all the time. It's slippery, it's a joint. It's meant to move, so it's very slippery. So that means I have to keep practicing my activation so I actually can stabilize my knee. It's not something that you get at one time and it's always there. You can always turn it on, but you got to turn it on. That's all there is to it. Okay, so now we've had a little bit of experience and practice. Let's do it again, and we'll challenge ourselves a little bit more. Again, you can do the same thing we just did, or you can add a little bit more of a challenge. So I'm going to suggest we get our foot to core connection happening. Foot to core, dial it out, and then you can reach the arms up. Exhale, either touch down to your block, or you can just reach the arms back. Inhale, and exhale. Inhale. Please do whatever your body has been prepared for. If you're working with an injury, give yourself a little extra support. And we'll just do one more. Take it back. Yes, and bring the foot down. Excellent. Let's stand on the other foot. So you can have the block wherever it works best for you. I'm not going to use the block myself this time. Root down into the toes, pull it back toward the heels. Foot to core connection happens. Make sure you take time for it. And then you can reach back and bring it up if you want. So remember, you can do it the same way. You don't have to bring the leg up. You could just be touching down here, practicing that, or you could bring it all the way up. And you might find that if you do this particular practice a few times, you make progress. Especially if you're applying what you're learning in this practice to other practices that you do. Then you'll really start to see. We always have to know how to create a stable knee. Let's bring the foot down this time. Very nice. We're going to move the block, I believe, to just sit it down like so. So this is going to really shock you probably, unless you have been for some kind of knee rehab. If that has happened to you before, then you may have seen this. So what we're going to do is stand on the block now. If you don't have a block, you've been using a cushion or something, you could stand on a stair or on a stack of books or something. Something's pretty solid though. This is a very spongy block, so it's quite challenging, just so you're aware. So we're going to bring the opposite leg out front. This is my working leg. Hands can be to Namaskar Mudra or at the hip. And what I'm doing now is going to see if I can keep pressing that knee out as I bend the knee and hip and touch the ground in front of me. Okay, so bring it down and touch. And stand up again. Bring it down and touch and stand it up again. Beautiful. So I know this seems a little bit more like exercise, but this is going to make you so much more stable in your yoga postures, guys. It's so helpful to have these extra techniques we can work on to work on our weaker, more vulnerable areas. Then we can bring the body into that experience of wholeness that we want. Let's take one more. I hope you're really noticing that. Press it down and we'll stand it up. All right, so we just cut ourselves out some work. We've got to do the same on the other side, and I believe that was 6 repetitions. So let's begin. Remember, the way I can stabilize this knee is by dialing it out. You'll notice that right away, and that's why we were priming those side leg lines, the lateral lines, and the spiral lines, because those are the stabilizing lines in our body. And we're pressing into them to help create that stable position, and now we're challenging those stable positions. And we really are challenging them. Let's take one more time. Good. And we'll come up. I hope that was a little bit of a surprise for you. Just keep your block handy. Let's take a nice deep breath in, shake out those legs, exhale forward and down. Inhale, let's come up to half lift, hands to the mat, and let's just step back with the left foot. We're going to take the block, put it under the thigh, and come into a Frisky Pigeon pose. Now, even if you normally practice pigeon pose without a block, I'm going to suggest using a block this time, and I have a reason for that. So let's wiggle our foot into a good position. A good position means you're not feeling any torsion at the knee. You're able to make your ankle neutral. Can you see what my ankle's doing? So I don't want this where it's kind of sickling. I want this neutral position, okay? And now my back toes tucked right under, spinning this back leg in and under, okay? And you can use that back toe to orient your hips straight forward. Now what I want to do now, keeping my foot in that position, I'm gonna press down into the side of my foot, press down into the block, push everything down like I want to come up off that block, okay? Now if you want to, you can challenge yourself a little bit more with hands up, or maybe with hands reaching back. And I'll give you a little side view of all of that. So you're going to stay here for a bit longer. I'm on the block, but this is because I want a little bit more leverage. So what happens in postures like this, lotus pose, but also definitely pigeon, is we're asking the knee to rotate. And we often say, you know, keep the foot active, but that's often not enough if the foot's not in a good position or the knee's not in a good position. So we're just doing that extra work, highlighting those lateral lines to make sure that the knee stays in a good, strong position. All right, let's move out of that. So all I want you to do is take your block out, and then you're just going to wiggle yourself back so that you're in more of a stag pose. So I'm going to come to the side of my mat a little bit. I have these 90-degree angles at my knees and sort of at my hip too as well. So now I want you to keep pressing down here into the side of this foot. The whole leg is going to hug down into the mat, and I'm going to come forward. Okay, so you can see in this position, the knee is not having to rotate at all, so that's good. Now I can just work on my hip, because sometimes, keep pressing down here, press down really strong, bring this hip down too. Sometimes we ask the knee to make up for missing range of motion at the hip, so I'm just going to address that range of motion issue at my hip and let my knee stay actively engaged. I'm pressing, pressing, pressing. Now one more piece here. Press down into this rear knee, press into the inside of it, and lift the foot up. Okay, let's just stay with that for a couple of breaths. If you can't lift your foot, it's okay, but I would definitely work on that. This is actually pretty important. One more deep breath here, pressing, pressing, pressing. And we're gonna let that back foot come down. We'll walk our hands back, stretch the leg back, and we'll come up. Let's take the other side now. Let's bring the block under the thigh. It's actually right under my long bone. I'm gonna make my foot nice and active, keep my ankle neutral, back toes are tucked under, and I'm pressing into the side of my foot, pressing into those toes, pressing this knee down. Push, push, push. Again, if you want, you can bring your hands up and press. Think about being a very fierce pigeon, fierce and frisky. Press down, lift the heart. So good. One more deep breath here. Push a little more. And then we'll relax a little. Take this block out. And then just go into more of a stag pose. So bring this back leg around, 90-90. Sit up nice and tall. Again, keep your ankle neutral. Try not to let it go into that softer corner. And then we'll walk ourselves forward again. So, you know, the goal is not to be passive here. I hope you've noticed that. We're being very active. Press down into the side of the foot. Press into this whole leg. Push it down. And then you can push down into this knee and lift the foot. All right, I know it's a weird thing I'm asking you to do. Your body will thank you. Keep pushing down, pushing down, pushing down. A little bit more. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let the foot come down. Walk yourself back. Stretch this leg back now and lift up and out of the posture. Pedal it out. And hop your feet forward. This is where we can put a towel or put your socks on. Almost finished with this sequence. I'm going to throw socks on because I really love these sliding sock practices. So this floor is fairly slippery. If you're on a carpet or something, you might find that putting a piece of plastic there or something might work a little bit better. So I'm just going to take the mic out of my pants and lie down into bridge pose. Okay, so right away you can tuck your shoulder blades under your body a little bit. Come up. Actually, I wanted to use the strap for this too. So you notice we didn't undo our circle at all, but you might want a little bit more length in the strap this time. Just a little. You can experiment with it and see what you think. When we go into bridge pose, we want to keep the great toes pointing straight ahead, heels a little bit wider, so let's not let our feet turn out, feet straight. Let's come up, tucking the shoulder blades under the body. And again, you want your feet in a position where you can press your knees into the strap. Once again, one more time, we're gonna light up those lines. Okay, so now if you have something you can slide on, I'll show you how to work with that. If you don't have something to slide on, you'll be coming down to touch and lift. So let's all do that a couple of times. Touch down and lift. Touch down and lift. So you notice we're working the hamstrings now. Part of the whole back chain of the body we are working. They are partly helping to stabilize the knee. Okay, so now if you have something to slide with, you're going to keep your hips up, really up, and then slide your heels out, pressing your legs into the strap. Take a little pause, put your seat down, pull it in, and up you come. Slide it out, keep your seat lifted, put the seat down, and pull it back in. Okay? Up. If that feels really sketchy to you, just go back to the touch down and lift, okay? This is totally up to you. And bring it in. Let's do one more, okay? Make it a really pure one. Hips up, hold, press into the strap, hold, hold, and bring it down and bring it in. Very nice. Let's just rock that from side to side. Very nice, guys. Let's take the strap off, bring the knees into the body, and hands around the soles of the feet. You can just go into happy baby pose for a couple of deep breaths. Legs come together. Let's roll it up to seated. Stretch your legs out in front of you. Let's take a nice deep breath in. With the knees just a little bit bent, let's take the hands under the legs, and now you can straighten your heels forward. All right, so if you have the range of motion in your body, you might be able to stretch your heels forward, activate the front of your legs, and lift your heels. So go ahead and do that if you can. If not, this might be the perfect position, and just feel free to take a couple of breaths here. If your heels are able to lift, it might look something like this. And those of you who can hyperextend at the knee, that might be you. All right, let's take one more breath wherever we are. You can make it a little bit softer. Inhale, reaching up. Shake it out. And exhale, coming all the way back and down. And this is where I'm going to leave you, gang. So I hope you enjoyed that practice. A little bit different, but very strengthening for the knee. And if you are trying to really get stronger and more stable knees, I recommend you work on this several times and then start to apply the things I talked about to the other practices that you do and see how that goes for you. I'd love to hear your feedback. Otherwise, have a wonderful day. Thank you so much. Please take some Savasana time. And if you like this video, make sure you like it. Hit the like button. All right, see you next time. Bye for now, guys.